This is Saul Lubaroff with KCCK, and I have the pleasure to be joined by Laurence Hobgood. Laurence, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, Saul, thank you so much for inviting me to join.
We're here to talk about your gig. You're going to come back to the Quad Cities. May 28th, Polyrhythms Jazz is presenting the Laurence Hobgood Trio at 5 o'clock in concert. And Laurence, of course, on piano. And can you tell me about the gentlemen that are also involved in your trio?
Indeed, I can. I have amazing musicians coming with me. The bassist is a gentleman named Matt Cloesy. He is an Australian, but he's been living in New York for many, many years. And I don't think he would mind if I said my favorite way of describing Matt, which is also how I sort of met him, is that I made my trio record "Honor Thy Fathers" with John Patitucci on bass, and I did that knowing that John wasn't really going to be available to tour, but I just wanted him on the record. And so then the question was, well, who's going to play? And I'll never forget, just cut to the chase, the first time that my wife came to rehearsal and I told her about Matt, and my wife is very choosy, let's just say, and very discerning, that's a good word. And she heard Matt's first solo and she looked across the room at me and made this and like went, whoa, like that. So he's
like, this guy can really play, right?
He was really up there with the best players in the world, in my opinion, in terms of his abilities, and won't be a surprise to anybody that knows the music to know that there are a lot of really amazing players out there that aren't as well known as the big names. And so perfect reason to pivot to my drummer. Jared Schoenig is equally amazing. Jared comes from an arts family, and his parents are art educators. And not unrelated to that, and the reason I mention it is that he's a pretty good piano player, including being able to improvise and understanding chord structures and things like that, which is rare for a drummer.
Indeed.
And it brings a lot to his interpretive skills, let's just say.
Sure.
So I really feel like these are the two musicians I've been waiting my whole life to get, these two guys, their ability to get inside my music, which tends to be compositionally intricate, challenging music, you know, not alienating to listen to. It's all I think very accessible listening to it, but playing it can be a challenge, and these guys are more than up to that challenge.
That's wonderful. I'm hoping that I can make the gig. It's May 28th, and this is going to be a return for yourself to Quad Cities. You've played several times, way back in 2007, again in 2013 when you were with one of my favorite saxophonists, Ernie Watts.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give some background a little bit to our listeners that Laurence spent time, many years, as the musical director for Kurt Elling, but you've also played with Larry Coryell, Lee Konitz, John Patitucci, John Kendricks, Christian McBride, Esperanza Spalding. What can we expect musically for this gig? Are you doing all originals? Are there some standards that you're putting a twist on?
There are arrangements of standards. For instance, the trio record I mentioned, which was called "Honor Thy Fathers," every track was an homage to some major influence. In some cases personal, like my father or my compositional mentor. In other cases, people like Nat Cole and Oscar Peterson and Wayne Shorter. Quite a cross section of different people that have been an influence on me. So in addition to my original tunes, you'll hear arrangements of things like "Straighten Up and Fly Right" and "Give Me the Simple Life," a Stevie Wonder tune, "If It's Magic."
That's a great tune.
Yeah. Yeah, so real nice mix of things that are both recognizable and not as much, but hopefully entertaining just the same.
Excellent. Now, I understand from our conversation a few days ago that right now you are in a recording session. Can you give us any information or juicy tidbits about what's happening with what you're doing right now?
Yeah, sure. It just worked out that the best time for us to chat was in the middle of a recording session that I'm doing for a project that I've been part of a collaboration with the poet Robert Pinsky. Now, a lot of people don't follow poetry, no harm, no foul, or anything like that. But if you don't know, Robert is until very recently, when the honor was bestowed on somebody else, he was the only three-time U.S. poet laureate in history. He teaches at Boston University, and we have had a collaboration now for going on almost 14 years called Poem Jazz, where Robert reads, but Robert was a musician when he was younger. And so he brings a real concept to the way that he recites his poetry differently if he's interacting with musicians than he does if he's just doing a poetry reading. Which is not to say that it's metrically regular what he does. It's not like rap. It's not like that. But it just, he has a way of locking into the flow of what we're doing. So we're making our third record. That's what we're doing this weekend. We're here in the studio doing that with bassist John Lockwood and saxophonist, multi-instrumentalist, and vocalist Stan Strickland.
Excellent, excellent. And so this is different than your working trio, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And we don't, in fact, don't have a drummer on this session.
We're talking with Laurence Hobgood again, and Polyrhythms Jazz is presenting Laurence and his trio May 28th. It's at the Sound Conservatory in Rock Island, and tickets can be purchased either at the door or calling Polyrhythms, and I'm going to give the number 309-373-0790. Now, Laurence, you told me on the phone the other day that you spent some time in the Quad Cities and did a residency many years ago, but also it looks like that you've performed with Kurt and your other quartet. So how long has it been since you came back and performed in the Quad Cities? And what are some of your memories of performing and spending time in Rock Island?
Well, first of all, when we came over and did the first educational residency in about 2003, I think, which is when I first discovered what Quad City Arts was. So impressed with the program. Going to 5 elementary and junior high schools a day. Oh wait, what am I saying? 3 elementary, junior high schools a day for 5 during the weekdays for 2 solid weeks. So that's 30 schools that we were able to go to, where literally they were just having us spend half an hour sort of just introducing the concept of what jazz is to kids. So that they could have a description from actual practitioners of what it's like to not only play at a high technical level, but also to literally be inventing what you're playing as you're playing it. This was a new concept to most of these kids, and was just really blown away by the support that we felt over there. You asked me when the last time we performed was. I'm pretty sure that it was 2018.
Okay.
And the reason I'm saying that is because it's often worked out to link Quad Cities appearance with my playing at the storied Green Mill over in Chicago.
Oh, yes.
That's my musical home. And I started playing there in 1988. So we played in 2018. It was my, just boggles the mind, but it was my 30th anniversary of playing at the Green Mill. And I know we came over and did a polyrhythms gig as part of that part of this same weekend. And I think it was just like this. It was the Sunday. We're playing at the Green Mill in Chicago, and then get to come over and play in Rock Island.
Well, that's great. And you're going on tour. You're playing a few spots after Rock Island. Is that correct?
No, it's all before. It's all before. The
Oh,
Rock
it's all
Island
before.
was our last gig on the tour.
Okay. Okay. Well, I thank you so much for spending some time with us here on KCCK. And once again, Laurence Hobgood Trio will be in concert on May 28th at the Sound Conservatory. The concert starts at 5 o'clock. However, doors open at 4, and there is a live entertaining evening, as they're calling it, where the Laurence Hobgood Trio will celebrate the art of the trio live. And showtime is at 5 o'clock, and get your tickets. And I'm going to mention your website. It's laurencehobgood.com. And
It's with a U, not a W.
Laurence with a Aurence, right? And Hobgood, Hob, as in boy, Good. I have to spell my name every time. Lubaroff is Lub as in boy over the phone, and people just because they they hear things differently. So laurencehobgood.com. Thank you so much for joining us.
Saul, I sure appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you later right here on 88.3 KCCK.